There's something happening every single night in kitchens all across this country, and it's quietly stealing sleep from millions of people over the age of 55. It's not a sleeping pill problem. It's not a stress problem. It's not even an age problem. It's a food problem. And the worst part? Most people have no idea that the snack they reach for at 9 o'clock at night is the very reason they're staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning. I've talked to so many people who tell me the same thing. I eat healthy, I exercise, I take my vitamins, but I still can't sleep through the night. And when I ask them one simple question, everything starts to make sense. What do you eat in the last 2 or 3 hours before bed? That question has changed more lives than almost any supplement or medication I could ever recommend, because what you eat before you close your eyes has a direct effect on whether your body can actually rest. And for seniors especially, the wrong food at the wrong time can set off a chain reaction that goes far beyond a rough night. We're talking about blood sugar spikes at 3 in the morning. We're talking about acid creeping up into your throat while you're lying flat. We're talking about your heart working harder than it should while you're supposed to be recovering. We're talking about inflammation quietly building while your brain is trying to clean itself during deep sleep. And today I'm going to walk you through 8 specific foods that cause the most damage when eaten close to bedtime. But I'm not just going to tell you what to avoid, I'm also going to show you what to eat instead. Simple swaps, easy changes, things you can start tonight. And stay with me all the way through because the last food on this list is one that almost everyone thinks is healthy. It shocks people every single time. Let me start with something important. Sleep changes as we get older. That's a medical fact. After the age of about 50, your body produces less melatonin naturally. Melatonin is that internal signal that tells your brain it's time to wind down. Think of it like a dimmer switch for your mind. As you age, that dimmer switch doesn't work quite as smoothly as it used to. On top of that, your digestive system slows down. Food that a 30-year-old might process in 2 hours could take you 3 or even 4 hours. That means anything heavy sitting in your stomach at bedtime is still being worked on while you're trying to fall asleep. Your body can't fully rest if it's still busy digesting. So the foods you eat at night matter more now than they ever did before, and that's why this conversation is so important. Let's get into the list. The first food might seem obvious, but the reason behind it is deeper than most people realize. Spicy foods. Now, I'm not talking about a little black pepper on your chicken. I'm talking about hot sauce, jalapenos, buffalo wings, spicy curries, anything that brings real heat to your mouth. Here's the problem. Spicy food contains a compound called capsaicin. That's the chemical that creates that burning sensation on your tongue. But capsaicin doesn't just affect your mouth. It actually raises your core body temperature from the inside. And here's why that matters for sleep. Your body needs to drop its temperature by about 1 to 2 degrees in order to fall asleep properly. Think of it like your body's internal thermostat. When evening comes, your brain sends a signal to start cooling down. That temperature drop is one of the triggers that helps you drift off. But when you eat something spicy close to bedtime, capsaicin pushes your internal temperature back up. It fights against that natural cooling process. So now your body is trying to sleep while it's essentially running a mild fever from the inside. On top of that, and this is a big one for anyone over 60, spicy food is one of the most common triggers for acid reflux. When you lie down after eating something spicy, that acid has an easy path right back up into your esophagus. And if you've ever woken up at 1 in the morning with a burning feeling in your chest or a sour taste in the back of your throat, this is probably why. Research published in the International Journal of Psychophysiology found that capsaicin consumption before bed was associated with difficulty falling asleep and reduced overall sleep quality. And separate gastroenterology research has consistently shown that lying down within 2 to 3 hours of eating spicy food significantly increases the risk of nighttime reflux episodes. So what should you eat instead? If you like flavor at night, try herbs like basil, oregano, or rosemary. They add wonderful taste without the heat. A small piece of grilled chicken seasoned with garlic and herbs is a much better evening choice than anything doused in hot sauce, but spicy food is just the beginning. The next one catches people completely off guard. Chocolate, I know. I can almost hear the disappointment. But hear me out because this one matters. Most people think of chocolate as a sweet treat, and it is. But chocolate is also a hidden source of caffeine. And for people over 55, caffeine is processed very differently than it is for younger adults. A typical dark chocolate bar can contain anywhere from 40 to 80 milligrams of caffeine. That's roughly the same as a half cup of coffee. And even milk chocolate contains enough caffeine to make a difference, usually around 10 to 20 milligrams per serving. Now here's the part most people don't know. As you age, your liver takes longer to break down caffeine. The medical term for this is the half-life of caffeine. In a younger adult, caffeine's half-life is roughly 4 to 6 hours. But in older adults, that number can stretch to 8 hours or even longer, especially if you're taking certain medications. So that square of dark chocolate you enjoy at 8 in the evening, your body might still be processing that caffeine at 4 in the morning. And caffeine doesn't just keep you awake, it actually blocks a brain chemical called adenosine, which is your body's natural sleep pressure signal. Adenosine builds up throughout the day, and by nighttime it's telling your brain, we're tired, time to shut down. Caffeine sits on those receptors and blocks that message, so even if your body is exhausted, your brain doesn't get the signal to sleep. Chocolate also contains a compound called theobromine, which is a mild stimulant, so you're getting a double hit. Caffeine and theobromine together can keep your nervous system humming when it should be winding down. The swap here is simple. If you're craving something sweet at night, try a small handful of tart cherries or a few slices of kiwi, and there's actually a wonderful reason for that, which I'll explain later. Both of these contain natural compounds that may actually help you sleep rather than hurt it. Now, this next one is the one I really need you to pay attention to because almost nobody connects it to sleep problems. Processed deli meats. I'm talking about salami, pepperoni, ham, bologna, and those prepackaged cold cuts that are so easy to grab from the fridge. There are two big reasons these are a problem at night. First, they're loaded with sodium. A few slices of deli ham can contain over 700 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly a third of the recommended daily limit in just a few slices. And sodium does something very specific to your body at night. It makes you thirsty, it raises your blood pressure, and it causes fluid retention. So what happens? You eat those salty slices. A couple hours later, you're waking up to drink water. Then an hour after that, you're waking up to use the bathroom. Then you can't fall back asleep. It's a cycle that repeats all night long. But the second problem is even more interesting. Processed meats are high in a substance called tyramine. Tyramine is an amino acid that triggers the release of norepinephrine in your brain. Norepinephrine is a stress hormone. It's the chemical that makes you feel alert and focused. That's great at 8 in the morning. That's terrible at 8 at night. So essentially, eating processed meat before bed is like telling your brain to wake up right when you want it to shut down. Instead, if you want protein at night, a small serving of cottage cheese is one of the best options available. Cottage cheese contains a slow-digesting protein called casein, which provides a steady supply of amino acids overnight without spiking your energy. It also contains tryptophan, which is a building block your brain uses to make serotonin and eventually melatonin. So rather than fighting your sleep, it actually supports it. But here's where things get even more surprising. The next food on this list is something that millions of people eat every single night thinking it helps them relax: ice cream. Now, I know this is a tough one. For so many people, a small bowl of ice cream before bed is a nightly ritual. It feels comforting. It feels harmless. But what's happening inside your body tells a completely different story. Ice cream combines three things that are each individually bad for nighttime eating, and when you combine them together, the effect multiplies. First, it's high in sugar. A single cup of vanilla ice cream can contain over 20 grams of sugar. When you eat that much sugar close to bedtime, your blood sugar spikes quickly. Your pancreas responds by releasing a burst of insulin to bring it back down, but it often overcorrects. Your blood sugar crashes a few hours later, and that crash triggers a stress response. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline to raise your blood sugar back up, and that stress response can wake you up suddenly in the middle of the night, often between 2 and 4 in the morning. If you've ever woken up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing and couldn't figure out why, an evening blood sugar crash may be the cause. This is especially important for anyone managing diabetes or prediabetes. Second, ice cream is high in saturated fat, and saturated fat takes a very long time to digest. Research from the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that higher saturated fat intake was associated with lighter, less restorative sleep and more nighttime awakenings. Third, many ice cream brands contain artificial flavors, colors, and additives that can trigger subtle inflammatory responses. For someone already dealing with joint pain or arthritis, this can make morning stiffness even worse. So what's the swap? A small bowl of plain yogurt with a few walnuts is a wonderful alternative. The yogurt gives you protein and probiotics. The walnuts contain natural melatonin and magnesium, both of which have been shown to support better sleep quality. Add a tiny drizzle of honey if you need a touch of sweetness, and you've got a bedtime snack that actually works with your body instead of against it. Now I want to shift to something that surprises people even more than ice cream, because this next one is a drink, not a food, and it's the one thing that people swear helps them sleep when the research says the exact opposite: alcohol. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, a glass of wine helps me fall asleep. And I understand why it feels that way. Alcohol is a sedative. It does make you feel drowsy. It does help you fall asleep faster, but falling asleep is only half the equation. The other half, the half that actually determines whether you wake up feeling rested, is what happens during sleep. And that's where alcohol causes serious damage. Here's what happens. During the first half of the night, alcohol keeps you in the lighter stages of sleep. You miss out on critical deep sleep. Deep sleep is when your body does most of its physical repair. It's when your muscles recover. It's when your immune system strengthens. It's when growth hormone is released to help maintain your bones and tissues. Then during the second half of the night, as the alcohol wears off, your nervous system rebounds. It overcompensates. Your heart rate increases. You may start sweating. You wake up more frequently. You spend less time in REM sleep, which is the stage most important for memory, emotional processing, and brain health. For seniors, this matters enormously. Research published in the journal Sleep found that even moderate alcohol consumption was associated with a 24% reduction in restorative sleep quality. And for anyone taking blood pressure medication, heart medication, or blood thinners, alcohol can interact with those drugs in ways that further disrupt sleep architecture. There's also the bathroom factor. Alcohol is a diuretic. It makes your kidneys produce more urine, so you're more likely to wake up 2 or 3 times during the night to use the restroom, and each time it gets harder to fall back asleep. The replacement is simple and actually enjoyable. Chamomile tea. Chamomile has been used for centuries as a calming drink before bed, and modern research supports it. A clinical trial published in Phytomedicine found that chamomile extract significantly improved sleep quality in older adults. It works partly through a compound called apigenin, which binds to certain receptors in your brain that help reduce anxiety and promote sleepiness. So trade the wine glass for a warm mug of chamomile. Your sleep will thank you. Now, this next food is one that almost nobody suspects, and it's hiding in plain sight. Citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruits, tangerines, lemons, even pineapple. These are incredibly healthy foods. I want to be very clear about that. Eating citrus during the day is wonderful for your immune system, your skin, your vitamin C levels, and your overall health. I'm not telling you to stop eating these foods, but eating them close to bedtime is a different story entirely. Citrus fruits are highly acidic. When you lie down with a stomach full of acidic food, you're setting yourself up for gastroesophageal reflux. That's just the medical name for acid washing back up from your stomach into your esophagus. And here's something that makes this worse for older adults specifically. The valve between your stomach and your esophagus, called the lower esophageal sphincter, naturally weakens with age. Think of it like a door that's supposed to stay closed after food passes through. But over time, that door doesn't close as tightly. So when you add acidic food on top of a weakened valve and then lie flat, you've created the perfect conditions for acid reflux. This doesn't just cause discomfort. Chronic nighttime reflux can damage the lining of your esophagus over time. It can cause a persistent cough that nobody can explain. It can even make asthma symptoms worse at night. I had a woman come to me once, 72 years old, and she couldn't understand why she was coughing every night. She'd been to a lung specialist. She'd been tested for allergies. Nobody could find the cause. When I asked about her evening routine, she mentioned that she ate an orange every night before bed because she wanted the vitamin C. Once she moved that orange to lunchtime and replaced her evening snack with a small banana and a tablespoon of almond butter, the coughing stopped within 2 weeks. That simple change made all the difference. If you want fruit before bed, a banana is one of the best choices. Bananas are low in acid, easy to digest, and they contain both magnesium and potassium, which help relax your muscles. They also contain a small amount of tryptophan, which, as I mentioned earlier, helps your brain produce the chemicals it needs for sleep. Now we're getting close to the end of the list, and I saved the most important ones for last. The next food is something you'll find in almost every American kitchen: fried foods, French fries, fried chicken, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, anything cooked in a deep fryer or a pan full of oil. Let me explain exactly what happens inside your body when you eat fried food at night. Fried food is extremely high in fat, and fat is the slowest macronutrient to digest. While carbohydrates might be processed in an hour or two and protein in 2 to 3 hours, a high-fat fried meal can take 4 to 6 hours or even longer to fully digest. So when you eat fried chicken at 8 in the evening, your stomach is still actively working at midnight. And during digestion, your body increases blood flow to your digestive organs. That means less blood flow is available for the rest and repair processes that are supposed to happen during sleep. Your body also has to produce extra bile to break down all that fat. Bile is produced by your liver and stored in your gallbladder, and when your gallbladder contracts to release bile, it can cause discomfort, bloating, and even nausea, especially if you have gallstones, which become more common after the age of 60. And of course, fried food is one of the biggest triggers for acid reflux. Fat relaxes that lower esophageal sphincter I talked about earlier, so now you have a weakened valve, acidic stomach contents, and a relaxed sphincter all at the same time. That's practically a guarantee that acid will creep up during the night. Research from the American Journal of Gastroenterology has consistently shown that high-fat meals eaten within 3 hours of bedtime are one of the strongest predictors of nighttime reflux symptoms. The better choice? If you're craving something savory in the evening, try a small portion of baked sweet potato. Sweet potato is gentle on the stomach, easy to digest, and rich in potassium and complex carbohydrates that may actually promote relaxation. You can even top it with a small spoonful of cottage cheese for added protein. Now, the last food on this list. I warned you about this one at the beginning. This is the one that surprises almost everyone, because most people eat it thinking they're making a good decision. They think it's healthy, their doctor may have even recommended it during the day, but at night, it can quietly wreck your sleep. High-fiber cereal with milk. I know that sounds strange. Whole grain cereal with a glass of milk sounds like the most harmless bedtime snack in the world, but here's what's really happening. First, let's talk about the cereal. Most healthy cereals are loaded with far more sugar than people realize. Even brands that market themselves as heart healthy or whole grain can contain 12 to 16 grams of sugar per serving, and most people pour more than one serving into a bowl. So right away, you're getting a blood sugar spike. We already talked about what that does. Your insulin surges, your blood sugar crashes a few hours later, your body releases stress hormones to correct the crash, and you wake up in the middle of the night wondering what happened. But here's the second problem, and this one is specific to evening eating. High fiber foods take longer to ferment in your gut. That fermentation process produces gas. And when you're lying down, that gas has nowhere to go easily. It creates bloating, pressure, and discomfort that can keep you from finding a comfortable position to sleep. For anyone with irritable bowel symptoms, which become more common as we age, a big bowl of high-fiber cereal at night can trigger cramping and discomfort that lasts for hours. And then there's the milk. About 65% of the global population has some degree of lactose intolerance, and that percentage increases significantly with age. Even if you've never been diagnosed with lactose intolerance, your ability to produce the enzyme lactase declines over time. That means the milk that never bothered you at 40 might cause bloating, gas, and stomach discomfort at 65. So when you combine the high sugar, the fiber fermentation, and the potential lactose issue, you've created a perfect storm of digestive disruption right before bed. The swap here is actually delicious. Instead of cereal, try a small serving of oatmeal made with warm water or a milk alternative like almond milk. But I mean real oats, not the instant packets loaded with sugar. Cook half a cup of rolled oats, add a few walnut pieces and a small sliced banana. Oats contain a compound called avenin, which has a mild calming effect. Combined with the melatonin in walnuts and the tryptophan in banana, this is genuinely one of the best nighttime snacks you can eat. Now, before I wrap up, let me bring everything together, because understanding why these foods cause problems is just as important as knowing which ones to avoid. Sleep is when your body heals. It's when your brain clears out waste products that build up during the day. There's actually a system in your brain called the glymphatic system, and you can think of it like a cleaning crew that comes in at night while the offices are empty. During deep sleep, this cleaning crew removes proteins and toxins that are associated with cognitive decline and memory problems. If your sleep is disrupted, that cleaning crew doesn't finish its job. Sleep is also when your heart gets a break, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows, your blood vessels relax. If you're waking up multiple times during the night because of reflux or blood sugar crashes or bathroom trips, your cardiovascular system never gets that recovery time. Over weeks and months and years, that adds up. And sleep is when your immune system does some of its most important work. Studies have shown that poor sleep quality is linked to a weakened immune response, slower healing, and greater susceptibility to infections. For anyone over 60, protecting your immune function is essential. So when I tell you that what you eat before bed matters, I'm not just talking about comfort. I'm talking about your brain, your heart, your immune system, your joints, your energy, your mood the next day, your long-term health. Let me give you a quick summary of the swaps. Instead of spicy food, try herbs and mild seasonings. Instead of chocolate, reach for tart cherries or kiwi. Instead of processed deli meat, have a small portion of cottage cheese. Instead of ice cream, try yogurt with walnuts. Instead of alcohol, make a cup of chamomile tea. Instead of citrus fruit, have a banana with a little almond butter. Instead of fried food, bake a small sweet potato. And instead of sugary cereal with milk, cook a small bowl of oatmeal with walnuts and banana. These aren't dramatic changes. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You just need to be a little more intentional about that window of time between dinner and sleep. And here's one more tip that applies to all of these. Try to stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to lie down. That gives your body time to do most of its digesting while you're still upright, which dramatically reduces your risk of reflux and helps your blood sugar stabilize before sleep. I want you to try something simple this week. Just pick one of the foods on this list that you know you eat at night and swap it for the alternative I suggested. Do it for 7 nights. See how you feel. I think you'll be surprised by how much better you sleep and how much better you feel in the morning. And if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Tell me which of these 8 foods surprised you the most. I read every single comment, and I'd love to hear from you. Now, today we talked about foods that hurt your sleep, but there's another side to this that's just as important, and most people never think about it. There are specific nutrients that your body needs more of after the age of 60, and when you're low on them, no amount of good sleep habits will fully fix the problem. Your body simply can't produce the energy, the repair, or the recovery it needs without the right building blocks. That's exactly what I'm going to explain in the next video. I think it might be even more important than what we covered today, so make sure you don't miss it. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself tonight, and I'll see you very soon.